The reality is that they're eliminated in the group stage for the first time in 20 tournaments, hosting at home, and they are the first Copa America hosts to fail to advance from the group. Charlie, I know there's so much to unpack here. There's so much to unpack here, and I was thinking about how to kind of approach the start of this conversation. But I guess I want to ask, like, big picture, like through like a grand scheme lens, following this performance at Copa America and what we have seen over the past 3 games and sort of in the matches leading up to this, where are we at in U.S. soccer?
We've regressed from the World Cup in 2022. And so, you know, for me, I'm supporting these guys. I know what they've done for this younger generation. Like my kids right now, they look up to this team. They're inspired, and they did a great job, I think, from coming into it as like young fledglings and learning the game and trying to qualify for a World Cup. They do, and they get out of the group stage, great. But we all want more.
Yeah.
The expectations with the World Cup coming on our home soil is to do something that's never been done before. Get to a World Cup semifinal at the very least. And this, I guess, group stage performance was so poor. It was so backwards. And, you know, I tried to find the positives, and there weren't really any. I mean, because you could say, oh, Balogun, we knew what he was. That's not a surprise. Christian Pulisic, we knew what he was. It's not a surprise. And it goes back to we aren't exceeding, not even meeting the expectations.
Nope.
This was a poor group. This was a dream group scenario to be a part of. Okay, you got Uruguay, but it's still not Argentina.
You got the worst team in CONMEBOL by a country mile, and a CONCACAF team that you routinely beat, and you didn't make it out of the group. That is alarming. It is an abject failure from both the coaching staff and the players.
Remember what we said before when we got the groups. We said, okay, the U.S., they lose, they beat Panama, they beat Bolivia, they lose to Uruguay, and they're in the knockout rounds, and they play against Brazil or Colombia, and they lose. That was the bare minimum expectation, and we're all like, is that good enough? That's what to not even get out of the group, Susanna?
Yeah.
To leave so much on the table, to walk away feeling this embarrassed is a shame.
Did you feel embarrassed yesterday?
Yeah, I think we all should. I think anyone involved in the world of soccer in this country should feel ashamed.
Not embarrassed at the game in itself against Uruguay. There's nothing to be embarrassed about there.
Even that was a little bit too late. It's a little too late.
But you're not going to say you're embarrassed.
No, I walked away embarrassed because this group of young players, as we saw what their potential could be, to start to realize that whether it's the coaching staff or whether it's the players' potential themselves not being able to meet what we thought they could do, there's an embarrassment there. And there should be. There should be. If we're going to take ourselves serious as a footballing nation, we have to look at what happened last night and say, that's not good enough. I don't care about where the line was drawn. I don't care about the referee not wanting to shake Christian Pulisic's hand. Don't tell me why you lost. Show me why you didn't win. This team didn't go out there to win. They tried to not lose. Part and parcel of that is Greg Berhalter saying, guys, it's 1-1. Why are you telling us to slow down? Why are you telling us to pull back? 30 seconds later, they score on us. I don't care where the referee was. We didn't do enough to win. I don't care. I mean, look at this. That's not good enough. This isn't enough. We shouldn't be trying to squeak by. There's too much on the line in 2026. There's a chance that this sport can start to really grow leaps and bounds, and maybe that's still possible. But I think a lot of that, there's a better chance of it with a robust U.S., not a U.S. that goes out and wins the World Cup, but a robust U.S. that inspires this nation. That last night is not going to inspire this nation.
Yeah, I didn't feel embarrassed. I felt disappointed because the writing was on the wall. What happened yesterday was not a shock.
That's because you were reserved to what was about to happen.
Right, and
yesterday wasn't a shock. You can't tell me Panama's not a shock.
That was even more. Yeah, sure, that was a shock, but it wasn't impossible because everything was trending towards this. The performance against Colombia was embarrassing.
Yes.
In the lead up to a tournament like this, and then you got a draw against Brazil, great. But then was there forward progress from that?
No.
And I'm not even talking about the sample size from just this month. It's been like this for a while now. There have not been forward steps. This team has not evolved whatsoever since the World Cup.
Here's a question that I asked the group that I was watching the game with. Is this the lowest point since Trinidad and Tobago in 2017? What was that, 2018, being bumped out of the 2018
yes.
World Cup?
Yeah,
Yes.
undoubtedly so.
It has to be.
It has to be. Thank you.
It has to be.
Thank you.
And on top of that, this is the last competition before the World Cup.
Yeah.
This is the
That
last.
we
These
part
are
of-
the
that we're-
last
that's-
important games.
That's really significant, where
Yeah.
you're really getting tested. This is it. So to move forward and say, you know what, we'll get them next time, that's not good enough. That's my point. That's why I'm struggling to stay positive. I want to say, come on, we got.
No, but we can't.
no.
We can't sugarcoat this. The U.S. bounced out of a Copa America. They got grouped, and it's embarrassing for the players. It's embarrassing for the federation. It's embarrassing for us as a footballing country. We're hosting this freaking tournament. We made it to the semifinals last time around, and the eyes are on us in 2 years.
That's
for both
the most
Mexico,
damning, that's one of the most damning
for both
things
Mexico
for me.
and the U.S.
We were at home. Mm-hmm. This was on our soil. I understand if you go into Panama and it is an aggressive atmosphere and it's hard to get results there. These matches were on home soil. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. And look, there's no shame. I thought that the performance that they put out, certainly the first half against Uruguay, was good. They looked like they were up for it, but
It was promising.
it was promising. But again, you should not have been in that position where you needed to get a result against Uruguay. You shouldn't have. You should have scored more goals against Bolivia. You should have beaten Panama. And to Charlie's point, then you're already through to the group. We keep talking about a signature win. We want this team to have a signature victory.
That was the draw.
It
against
hasn't
Brazil.
happened.
Can I ask what was promising about that first half?
They stifled Uruguay to the point that Uruguay didn't look like themselves yesterday. And it was promising because they were with a lot of good rhythm, some that we haven't seen before really in the tournament, and they were stepping foot, they were breaking play up, and they weren't permitting Uruguay with much. But promising isn't much. And then after that, Uruguay grew into the game. The U.S. really struggled to threaten and step in Uruguay's box. And Uruguay was growing and growing, and the subs weren't coming, and the goal happened. And this goes back to Berhalter. Berhalter has shown his inability to redirect the course of games, to take audacious tactical decisions, to change the look and the feel, the composure of your team.
That decision
get the
was made
most
when he put
out of his
Musa in
players.
instead of an attacking player. Hold on, I just want to reiterate or just go back to why I asked you that. I didn't see anything promising. I get what you're saying, but we didn't need to draw to go through. We needed to score. We needed to win. You got one shot on target.
Yeah.
Our XG in the first half was .01. There's nothing lower than that than zero, than not even taking a shot. That's not promising. We needed to win the game, not draw.
Yeah.
We needed to win. If that's not promising enough
I
to
had
stop
faith-
them from playing well,
I had
that's
faith
not good enough.
that there was going to be forward progress in the game, but clearly not. Clearly it was too much faith. It was blind faith almost, because there was a drop-off. And again, this all goes back to the manager that hasn't been able to get much out of these players. And like I said before, it's a combination where the players aren't absolved of guilt here.
What's the percent? How much is on Greg? How much is on the players just not being good enough?
I would say 70-30. And
70 to Greg?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that.
Greg, Berhalter has been entrusted to lead this group and get the most out of this group. And he's directly responsible for this failure, but at the same time, there are a lot of players that haven't been up to par. Matt Turner can't hit a long ball for his life.
Oh, no.
I mean, he gave a lot of gifts to the audience.
He parried the ball right into the direction of a player. But just all around, also, as a collective, this team is not good. The right mentality is not there. They're okay with their positions because they're comfortable, they're complacent. We're not heading in the right direction if that's okay. And if Berhalter is signaling to the psyche of our players 1-1, where you're deciding to leave the destiny of your national team in the hands of Panama against Bolivia, what do you think that speaks about? Matt Turner says it speaks volumes of how we're prepared. That speaks volumes of the weak mentality that this group has, and it stems from the manager.
If it's the 90th minute and it's 1-1, you go, okay, guys. Maybe we don't have to throw everything forward because we're in right now and we got a minute or seconds left. We're in added time. But for that moment, I go back to the substitution where Scally goes down and he might come off. He had Shaq Moore up. They're down 1-0.
What's he going to offer
What's the thought process in that? You trying to get a goal with a defensive right back? So for me, that's when you talk about changing tactics and formations. You want to go 3 in the back and play with 2 strikers? Go 3-5-2. All right, let's get more people up front. Have the ability to use our wing backs to create different types of chances and have more people in the box. That for me is the question. And you can go back all the way to the loss in Trinidad last year.
Yeah.
There have been so many moments where you're going, what the hell is going on here? Why is that player going in? Or why aren't you changing the tactics? That for me is the big problem.
I want to say, for Greg Berhalter, I thought early on he was the right hire. And in a way, I still feel like he was the right rehire. Because that's what the players were asking for. It was early in Matt Crocker's reign. You kind of got to do what's in front of you. You sometimes have to pick play the cards that are handed to you, and that's sort of what he did. Because I think trying to go out and find somebody new would have taken a lot longer. We can go back into that. Where we are now, and the statement that we're going to have, a long, comprehensive review. Look, what are you going to do? Rewatch the games? Because I had a comprehensive review. I had to watch these matches, and it was trash.
Yeah, so
There's the quote right here.
Here's the quote from U.S.Soccer. We will be conducting a comprehensive review of our performance in Copa America and how best to improve the team and results as we look towards the 2026 World Cup.
Well, it was an embarrassment.
What I want to say about Greg Berhalter moving forward, there's 2 things you said, Nico. One I vehemently agree with, and that is this is not good enough, and the coaching staff has not proven that they have the technical know-how to get us out of a sticky situation or to build upon what is happening on the match.
To win a soccer game,
exactly.
period.
But one of the things that I vehemently disagree with is the fact that we don't have the quality. We do. We can't assess the quality we have because I do not think we have seen them to the best of their ability. I don't know.
Well, we did in that Nations League when B.J. Callahan was on the sidelines.
Again, that was just different competition. Freely. Yeah, but that was playing freely, and that's an example.
And that was against Mexico.
But that was still an example of a team that played better.
Oh, come on.
How slow was our decision making? This is ridiculous. Not during that.
They absolutely dominated both opponents.
Yeah, they did.
They played Panama. And what happened?
Yeah, but
so don't poo-poo on Canada, who's in the next round.
Yeah, I get it, but it's still right. That's absolutely true. We can't poo-poo on Canada right now. Canada are in a better place as a national.
Yeah, they
team.
ain't fishing.
But what I want to see these players respond are in these games against Uruguay, where you want a little moment of brilliance, where you want somebody unlock. You just didn't unlock anything. I say it was a promising first half. It was a nice little start, but there was nothing that was able to unlock.
Who had a positive tournament out of all the players? Could you give me? Who?
You said Balogun, Pulisic. I'll add Scally.
Scally had, I feel like he was so far down, expectations were so low.
But Scally's still only defending.
Yeah, sure.
It's not giving you anything in the attack. Remember, we had Serginho Dest. So you're now saying we're going to play a right back who gives you nothing of what Serginho Dest gave you.
But there's nobody else.
That's or you have to try something different.
I agree.
You have to try something different. You're handicapping the team.
We're headed in a wrong direction.
Just from a mentality standpoint, Charlie, how does this improve? Because they were making the point yesterday after the game on the post-match show that, all of these players, all of these guys on the U.S. team that were out there play in Europe. It's not like they're, they were saying, you can't blame MLS anymore. It's like we have quality players playing overseas at good clubs. But it's the mentality. It's the mentality that's the issue. So how does that get better? Is that a leadership? Does that stem down from
Well, this is the
Greg?
thing, Suze. I think you brought up a great point. The playing part. How many of these guys are playing every single minute, every match in Europe? how many of these guys are the guy or a leader in that squad, in that locker room, where you're dependent on for the results, for the goal or the assist,
Maybe
where people look to you, right?
Only one.
100%. And you could say Anthony Robinson, who was Player of the Year at Fulham, he's being one of the guys, a staple at the club, who's relied on to be consistent every single week for the team to get results. But other than that, you have Gio Reyna, who's supposed to be one of your biggest players,
missing,
who's on the bench. Turner, your starting goalkeeper, on the bench. Tim Ream, who has fallen off now, on the bench, coming back to MLS most likely. Scally, in and out. Musa on the bench, although albeit it's at Milan. Adams, who's been injured all this time. So you're starting to see Balogun didn't have the best of seasons at Monaco. So now you're seeing, okay, when guys aren't fully fit, aren't fully confident because their club seasons didn't go so well, and they're not relied on every single day and every week to get those performances, and you put them together, this is what happens. This is a result.
That translates into a softer mentality when it comes to the national team, because on top of that, there's nobody that's challenging McKinney for his position. There's nobody that's challenging Tyler Adams, nor Gio Reyna, who doesn't play a single freaking minute with his club team, is not challenged for his position on the national team.
Challenged by who?
By other players, by internal competition. It breeds complacency, and this goes back to the whole conversation is, this is a very talented squad. It's probably the most talented we have. But compare it to the years before, the generations before, Jermaine Jones and Michael Bradley would eat you up. I'd be scared to go up against that midfield. Your team, all the stuff, the former U.S. soccer players that I've had the privilege to work with Tab, with Tony, with you, Chuck. You guys all achieved something. You guys were rabid when I saw you guys go out on the pitch. I felt represented by you guys because you know what? We were the underdogs. And the U.S. loves being a freaking underdog. And they go out there and they take it to Uruguay. They took it to freaking Spain, who was on an undefeated streak. We beat Mexico in a quarterfinal of the World Cup. Boom. One of the best generations of Mexico. We beat Argentina in a Copa America. We beat Brazil in a Copa America. This is nothing new. We've been here before. So talk about the mentality of this group. Yes, it's on the manager. I think we have a soft manager, and the team has proven that they're soft around the edges.
I hate looking backwards because it's so easy to romanticize, and I'm not taking it away from the accomplishments that your squad did, because I watched that, and it made me feel proud to be a fan of the sport in this country when you guys beat Spain. And I as much as I love the previous, half the squad in '94 came from neighborhoods around where I grew up. There's a sense of pride that connected me to this sport. I hate looking back. I want to look forward. What's going to change the result that we had yesterday? Is it going to be a new manager providing a thicker skin, providing a much more of a difficult situation?
That's the only thing that will change, because the players aren't going to change.
Okay, well now what do we have? We have less than 2 years until a World Cup happens in this country. What are we going to do? We have three options. You get a manager that's going to make us worse. You get a manager that makes us the same. You get a manager that's going to make us better. What are the names of the managers that are going to make us better? And I don't even care if it's marginally. I don't even care. There's a very short window we have to inspire the folks in this country that normally go to that stadium to watch folks play American football, to want to come out to watch our style of football.
Are you confident in U.S. Soccer that they will be able to right the ship, that they will be able to bring someone in, that they will bring someone else in?
All I say is they brought in Emma Hayes. That's a huge accomplishment.
That's the best hire in the world of football.
And that was Matt Crocker's big job. Now, what's the equivalent for the men?
And who's out there?
How do you make that happen? That's the thing.
Who's out there? What are the names?
That's that call. If U.S. Soccer does make that call, if we're a serious footballing nation, I'm going to use the words of Tony Miela that he said one time and call it what you want. If we are a serious footballing nation, this should be the end of the road for Berhalter. And the president of U.S. Soccer, Sidney Porlacone, and its technical director, Matt Crocker, need to have a serious conversation of where this U.S. men's national team is headed, because it's regressed. And the big call that they need to make is not only firing Berhalter, it's getting the next hire right. Because we're hosting the biggest World Cup on our soil. And that will galvanize, and it will help grow the sport, and it will get the people of the United States behind this team.
It's too big of a moment not to do everything ahead of the tournament to try and make sure we stand the best chance with this group to advance and get the furthest we've ever gone. So you have to make sure that everything is in order before that tournament.
We have to accept that this isn't good enough. If this is what remains, if this becomes the status quo, that is U.S. Soccer admitting that last night is okay.